The Beast of Buckingham Palace by David Walliams, narrated by me. Chapter 39. Limb from Limb. All along the riverbank, people came out of their hiding places. They had heard the 13 bongs of Big Ben. They were ready for revolution. On seeing the submarine surging along the Thames, with a Union Jack flying from its hull, cheers went up across London. Hooray! The poor, the hungry, the homeless. Now was their time to fight back against the evil regime that had kept them from living in fear for so long. They waved their own Union Jack flags high in the air. With a loudspeaker, the Queen spoke from the hull of the submarine. "It is time for the Lord Protector's evil dictatorship to end. We will tear down the flag of the Griffin and replace it with the flag of our great nation. Hooray!" A portly man of Indian descent called out from the riverbank. He was waving a severely out-of-date bag of marshmallows and shouting, "Anyone looking for a special offer on some delicious mallow marshes?" What? It was future Raj. He was exactly the same as normal Raj, but his confectionery was even more out of date. "Smile and wave, dear," prompted the Queen. "Smile and wave. That's what we royals do." Alfred was not used to being out in the public. Did as his mother said, even though it felt a bit silly. Zap, zap, zap! It felt even sillier when there was more laser blasts from the airship above hit the submarine. Boom, boom, boom! The Lord Protector's flying machine was chasing them. "Quickly, inside, now!" shouted the boy, and he held his mother and Mite's hands and led them down inside HMS Scepter to safety. The ladies in waiting found blankets for the two new arrivals and wrapped them up tight. "The last time I saw you, Nanny was taking you to the palace kitchen to get some chocolate," began Alfred. "How did you end up locked in the Tower of London?" The little girl was shivering in the cold. "I didn't get no chocolate." "No?" "I waited and waited, then..." Sorry, I got a cat attacking me. "I waited and waited, then the next thing I know, the room is full of guards." The Queen began listening to the conversation. "That's strange," said Alfred. "Is it?" asked Mite. Did the little girl know something he didn't? "Yes," joined in the Queen. "It is strange. Nanny has been in the royal household for all her working life. She looked after my little Lionheart here." With that, she looked lovingly at her son and stroked his hair. Alfred glowed with embarrassment that his mother was doing this in front of the girl. "I don't trust her one bit," said Mite. The boy went deep into his mind. There were some things about Nanny that were hard to explain. Why did he feel so much better now he wasn't eating her eggy egg every morning? Why did Nanny insist on locking him in the bedroom? Why did she not believe him about the statue of the Griffin being used in the ritual, even though he found his father's blood on it? As quickly as Alfred had these thoughts, he dismissed them. Nanny cared for him since he was a baby. The king before him too. There was no way she could be involved in the Lord Protector's evil plans. The last Alfred had heard, the wicked man was interrogating her. "Where to, Captain?" asked Enid, waking the boy up from his dream. Buckingham Palace," replied the prince. "Full speed ahead. We must get there before all of London does." "Goodness, yes," agreed the Queen. "I fear the angry mob will tear my husband limb from limb. They will blame the king for his tyrannical rule." Excuse me. Thank you. "They will blame the king for his tyrannical rule and not the real villain, the Lord Protector." "We must save the king," called out the prince. "Full speed ahead to the palace," shouted Agatha. Alfred took his place at the periscope. Looking through it, he spied platoons of royal guards taking positions on Westminster Bridge. If the gang tried to disembark from the submarine at that point, there would be a massacre. "Blast!" said the prince. "We're not going to be able to get this close to the palace." "It's impossible," agreed the Queen. There were murmurs of agreement from the old dears. Mite spoke up. "It's not impossible. I know a way." "You don't mean..." began Alfred. "The tube tunnel! I swam up it!" exclaimed the girl. "But would a submarine fit?" "It should do," she replied. "The thing is about the same size as one of those old tube trains. I just need to show you the place where the tunnel meets the Thames." Enid unrolled a map of London and Mike began trying to make sense of it all. Finally, she pointed to a spot and shouted, "There! Right opposite the London Eye!" The ladies all gathered around to study the map. "There, Deep under the water level is a giant hole. It must have been created by an explosion. That's the way into the tube tunnel. All the old dears shook their heads. What? Demanded Mike. You can't pilot a submarine up the Piccadilly line, exclaimed Enid. If it's wide enough, then why not? Asked Alfred. Otherwise, we'll be nothing but target practice for the Royal Guards. That's a big if, muttered Agatha. Look, began Alfred. We don't have time to argue about this. For all we know, the Griffin could be about to destroy all of London. There were mutters of agreement from all the ladies in waiting. The Prince is right, said Enid. Ladies, began Agatha, let's do this. To your stations, commanded Alfred. That's my boy, the Queen proclaimed proudly. In moments, HMS Sceptre was surging through the water towards the entrance to the tube tunnel. Using the ancient radar, beep, 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 the exact location of the hole was found. It was just wider than HMS Sceptre herself. Expert navigation was needed to prevent the submarine from becoming jammed. If HMS Sceptre did become stuck, then they would all die a slow and painful death. Hold tight, ladies, called out the Prince. We're going in! Dumph! The submarine shuddered as it scraped the side of the entrance to the tunnel. All eyes turned to the Prince, who was trying his best to keep his cool. Crunch! Another knock. Hold her steady, he ordered. Enid held the steering wheel tightly, sweat pouring from her brow. Agatha mopped it up with a lace handkerchief. Dunk! Another hit. Hold her steady! The submarine began passing up the tube tunnel itself. Hurrah! Shouted the ladies. The plan was working. HMS Sceptre edged closer and closer to the palace. Then, crunch! The submarine lurched to a halt. Horror upon horror. They were stuck. Backwards! Ordered the Prince. There was a deafening grinding noise. Grrr! But the submarine didn't budge. Crunch! Forward! Again, there was nothing but an ear-splitting noise. Grrr! Crunch! Backwards! Grrr! Crumph! It didn't move an inch. Then, in an instant, the submarine was plunged into darkness. The lights on board had failed. They were doomed. Chapter 40. Doomed. Everyone stay calm, commanded the Prince. It was little use. Panic was spreading through the submarine like wildfire. Calm! Exclaimed Enid. We're stuck! She checked the dial on the air supply. And we only have an hour until the air supply runs out. Please just stay calm, implored Alfred. You already said that. It was all my stupid idea, said Mike. I should take the blame, not him. Agatha found a box of the old Queen's matches and struck one. Strike! That at least gave a flicker of light inside the submarine. Then, disaster. All that could be heard for a few moments was the creaking of the HMS Sceptre's hull. Twang, twang, twang. It sounded like the ancient submarine was going to snap in two. Ah! No! Help! Screams ran through the gloom. Oh, Mama, I failed, sniffed Alfred. The Queen reached out into the darkness for her son. Don't say that, she replied, gripping his hand tight. This isn't over yet. There must be a way out of the submarine. I am so sorry, said Mike. Over here, ordered Enid. Agatha brought the flickering flame to the ladder, and Enid scaled it, holding a hammer. After a good deal of banging and bashing, clunk, clink, clank, she came back down the ladder and turned to the Queen. I am sorry, Your Majesty, but you're wrong, said Enid sorrowfully. It's impossible to open the hatch from the inside, and there's no way out the submarine. So, we are doomed? Asked Agatha. Yes, my dear. Doomed, replied Enid. It's all my fault, said Mike. There was a silence for a moment before the Prince broke it. The torpedo launcher, he exclaimed. I beg your pardon, replied Enid. If you can launch a torpedo, then maybe you can launch me. Preposterous! Nonsense! That boy has lost his marbles, muttered the old dears. It is not preposterous, snapped Alfred. I'm about the same size as a torpedo. Alfred was small for his age. It's too dangerous, announced his mother. It is certain death. But staying here is certain death, reasoned Alfred. Being shot out of cannon is even more certain death, remarked Enid. How can it be even more certain? Asked the boy. This rather stumped Enid, who shut up. Agatha took over. Forgive me, but I think what my fellow lady in waiting was that being shot out of a torpedo tube is a faster way to die. But, and that is a big but, if you survived it, there is a chance you could open the hatch from the outside. As your future king, announced Prince Alfred grandly, I am willing to try. I am too, said Mike. You ruined my big moment, he complained. I was being all royal and heroic. I don't care. Listen, I'm a really good swimmer. Let me come too. I can help. All right, replied Alfred. Good boy, said the Queen. Splendid. And I suggest that your girlfriend, began Agatha. She's not my girlfriend, snapped the boy. He's not my boyfriend, snapped the girl. I would rather eat my own foot than go out with him. And I would rather eat my own... Alfred was struggling to think of something worse tasting than foot. Bottom. Enid looked as if she might faint at this rude word. Agatha reached for a bottle of smelling salts and wafted them under her friend's nose. I suggest your friend, continued Agatha, who happens to be a girl, but is definitely not your girlfriend, goes first. Yes! Exclaimed Mike, victorious. In case she is crushed to death, being fired out of the torpedo tube. Oh, said the girl. On second thoughts, Prince, you can go first. Me? Said the boy. Yes, you are royal after all. With that, she did a little flourish with her hand, mocking the whole cavallade of royalty in one tiny gesture. With the light of the match illuminating the panic in his eyes, Alfred lowered himself into the torpedo tube. Enid then explained what the boy needs to do to open the hatch from the outside. Turn the lever anti-clockwise. The boy nodded his head. He had sort of understood. Boy, ready to fire, called out Enid. I love you forever, Lionheart, whispered the Queen. I love you forever, Mama. Fire at will! Boom! Whoosh! Alfred was blasted out of the submarine.